Welcome back to Deeper Than a Cut. We are back inside of Executive Cuts, right outside of downtown Detroit, and joined by T. I'm joined by Bishop Davis, and I'm joined by Nico. Hello to you all.
Yeah.
Hey.
All right.
One.
All right. So last time we were here, we hit on relationships, and the feedback was very positive on the dialogue during that conversation. Therefore, we're back here to talk about divorce. How do you recover from a breakup, from a divorce?
That's good.
So, T, we have you in the building, of course.
Yes.
Bishop Davis, Nico, to get as many perspectives as we possibly can.
Sure.
Who wants to start off this conversation? How do you enter that next chapter? I mean, that next part of your life when that happens?
Man.
You first of all have to understand that divorce is like a death. Because you've been with this person for no matter how long, if it's a year, 10 years, whatever it is, it's a separation. You used to doing things, you used to going places together, you used to making decisions together. Now you find yourself, and I've been there, I was married 20 years and went through divorce. You find yourself alone, you're spending holidays, and you're really rediscovering yourself. You're spending holidays alone. I never forget, I think it was Labor Day or Memorial Day. I didn't realize, I had moved back to Detroit, that people actually did things alone other than the traditional things. And so I had to rediscover myself, because on those holidays, of course, you're with the family, you're barbecuing. And so it's a death occurs. And many times we try to re-enter into the dating life too soon, and we're not healed. We just move on.
Wow.
And so you got to understand that it's a death, and you got to take your time to rediscover you, because you are a new person now.
I'm only asking, Bishop. I've never been married. Clearly, therefore, I've never been divorced. How do you know when? I'm taking my time. I'm taking my time.
Easy.
Yeah, take it easy.
Take
your time.
Take it easy.
With that being said, Bishop, how does a person know if they are fully healed?
So I often say, when I'm talking to people about re-entering, and that's what we're talking about, into the dating scene, number one, it's different now. No matter how long, it's different now. Especially now, it's different. You have to get out there and see. You can't say you're ready unless you're across the table from somebody else. So to say I'm ready because you feel it, you need to sit down, go on a date. Let the person know, I'm just out enjoying myself. You don't tell them you're a guinea pig.
You have to feel it before you say it.
Yeah, you do have. You have to feel it, but a lot of times our feelings are not true. It is the anxiety to get out. So even though you may feel it, you got to test it. So you go on a date, and if they say things that triggers you, reminds you of, do things, it's okay to go back in, go out, go back in, go out, go back in, and then finally you be like, okay. And everybody's healing is different. You go to a doctor, all four of us can go to a doctor, and we all hurt ourselves. All of us, according to our health, according to how we're taking care of ourselves, all of us are going to heal in a different way and a different time.
All of us are different. Nico.
Yeah, to piggyback off of what the bishop said when he said, like, it's a death, like, that's how I view it. And when you're grieving the loss of anybody, it's still stages that you have to go through. So with death, that's like if they were to when they transition over, they leave this form and they cross over to another thing. It's the same thing with the relationship. So you got to go through like the same 5 steps of grieving: the denial, the anger, bargaining, depression, and then the acceptance. And I feel like Bishop said, once you get to the part where you're healed, at that point you have accepted what happened. But you have to see this person every day, or they're still in the land of the living. That's what makes it harder. You know, when people transition in death, they move on, you don't see them in the physical anymore. It makes it difficult when you have to continue to see them, but you still got to go through the process, the grieving process, as if they transitioned over into the next realm. And a lot of times I feel like I've even done it. You try to jump right back in, and you haven't gone through any of the steps that it takes to heal. Like he said, everybody heals differently, but it's still a process. you know, whether you're taking medicine, you're taking herbs, you know, when you're dealing with the physical. So it's the same thing in the spiritual and the emotional realm as well. Like, you have to take those steps in order to be able to move forward.
How open or how cautious should you be in talking about it?
You should. Are you saying to the person you're going out with, or in general?
In general, if you are going through this experience,
You have to talk about it.
Okay.
You have to talk about it. Get a coach, get a therapist, therapy, your pastor, get spiritual healing, get emotional healing. You should. Talking about it releases it.
Yeah.
And that's the mistake that I made. My story is I immediately met somebody. It's called rebound. Mm-hmm. And I'm the kind of person, I suppress things, you know. And so I met somebody, we went full throttle, you know, after I separated and stuff. And I woke up one day and said, what in the world are you doing? I'm losing weight, you know, exercise regimen. I'm doing my thing. Mm-hmm. And then I woke up one day and said, wow, what are you doing? Because I was real needy. That was a sign. I was real needy. I wanted that person around me. And that's not where they were. And I rose and I said, get yourself together.
Because you didn't go through the process.
I didn't go through the process.
You didn't go through the fast.
Because I'm strong and everything. But I had never been through that before.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to go through divorce the same way I go through everything else in life. I believe in keep pushing. But that right there, that's another thing. So then I started the grieving process. Started to talk to people. You have to talk it out, because if you hold it in, and it's going to come out somewhere. It may not come out in that conversation, but if you suppress it and don't talk about it, it's going to come out in another relationship later on.
And not just that, like, it affects your physical health.
It does.
And so certain things that we hold on to, when you hold on to anger, resentment, you're in denial and you don't release it, it affects your liver, your kidneys, your spleen, your gallbladder. Like, all of those different organs are even associated with certain emotions. So holding it in, mentally, emotionally, it's affecting you, but it's also affecting you physically. And you'll look up one moment and you in the hospital because you got pancreatitis. You know, you're eating, you could be eating bad, you know, emotional eating, but because of those things, those emotions that you're not letting go, that could trigger a lot of things.
And it's important. I want to just throw this back to the healing. It's important that you get someone, because healing can take place and you're still with somebody. Somebody may be able to have the capacity to handle your healing.
Yeah.
All right? But they have to know that you have to be very honest. Make sure you're with somebody that can, because you still may be healing and with somebody. Yeah. Healing is a long process.
Man.
For all of you, on the other side, I'm dating a person who has gone through a divorce, and I may notice the signs. How should I be understanding to that individual? How can I be understanding to that individual without putting my own life on hold at the same time? Because the person who's gone through that situation, they're going through something. Yeah. On the other end, you're dating someone new who technically didn't have anything to do with that, but there has to be a balance. Yeah. Is that fair?
Yes.
Definitely have a balance.
You got to be open.
Yeah.
I feel like, not to cut you off, Bishop. You have to be open and willing to say, like, this is what, if I know that you're going through this and I decided to date you, and knowing that you're still in this process, you already put yourself out there. So if you took on the ticket, hey, waiter, I'll take that. Like,
you know what you're signing up for.
You know what you're signing up for. So you don't know the magnitude to what you're signing up for, but you know that you signed up for it. So it's up to you to make the decision on whether you want to continue to go down that road. And you just have to be open. You got to be open and willing.
As long as the other person is
open and willing. But you know it's going to be times that they're not going to be open and willing. So I feel like that's the balance, where one is weaker, the other one is stronger, and vice versa.
And where are they in the process?
Yeah.
Like, are we looking at the body in the casket? Are we walking? Are we embalming them? Like, I mean, because it's a death.
Yeah.
Where
are we at in the process?
Because the person that's dating this person that's been through the divorce or going through it, they have to have the capacity
Yeah.
for that. I'm talking about mentally.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because they're going to continue to talk about it, and that phase where they're still talking about it, that's kind of a sign, right? That's a red flag if they're always talking about it.
Yeah.
Now, flashbacks is one thing.
Yeah.
But if they're always talking about, you might want to let their therapist do that.
Okay.
Let them go through that without all the triggers.
T, I want to bring you in. You're happily married, been with your wife for years.
February would be 24 years married.
24 years.
Yeah.
Is there something to be said? Because from my memory, you took your time.
Yes. Well, we got married soon, but
Okay.
we got married young. My wife was 18 and I was 22.
Okay.
And so that time we both were young, very immature. We just the biggest part of that part in the beginning of our marriage was we knew we wanted to be together.
Okay.
And so listening to Bishop and listening to Nico talk, there were moments of time, even I've never been divorced, but there was moments being 24 years married. There have been many moments where we both on both sides have experienced death in the relationship. Some of the same restaurants we used to go to when we first got together, we don't even like that food no more. Her favorite color has changed. Her personality is changing. So things do die off, and you have to find a balance to where my responsibility is to find a balance where I know, and I'm learning her every day. So I have to be paying attention because things die off. Her desires for what makes her happy in a marriage dies off. She's changing every day. I'm changing every day. It's her responsibility to make sure that she's in tune with me every moment. That's what marriage is. We become one. And when you become one, you have to constantly stay in tune with your spouse, or else things are going to die off, and you never know they died off until something catastrophic happens. Yeah. And then you experience the ultimate death as a divorce.
Is it as simple as paying attention more, or what
Absolutely.
to pay attention towards?
Definitely. You have to pay attention every moment. It's things that I notice in my wife. It may go unmentioned for a while. I may notice that like her actions are changing towards me. That's my cue to pay attention to myself. It's like what something is off. So there's have to be a conversation, as Bishop alluded to earlier. You got to have a conversation.
How do you raise those questions without coming across as rude or harsh?
Well, it's just when you love a person and you've given your soul, your everything to this person, I don't think it's a difficult conversation. Okay. I think it becomes easier because of that love that you share with that person, right? So my wife is my best friend, right? For one, and so you have to be friends in a relationship. I have to allow my wife to say things to me, right? For me, and I have to be able to receive those things because I know she loves me. She's not talking down to me. She's not talking at me. She's talking to me. And she's expressing what she's feeling of some things that I may be ignorant to what I've done. I may not even know I've made her feel certain ways, right? I may not know I've hurt her feelings. I may have said something wrong. I may have done something out of character, and I'm just moving about my life like everything is good, and she on the other side like, I'm going to give you about a week to apologize.
But then, too, I feel like the person, this is what I'm learning now. If your feelings are hurt or you did say something that was rude, it's on me to speak up and let you know. Why would I automatically assume? And that's, I feel like a lot of times, and I can't speak for all women, but I'll say for me, we'll go thinking that, oh, he knows that I'm upset or that he made me upset or hurt my feelings. He don't know that because he watching football, eating chicken wings.
That's right.
So if it hurts me, then it's on me to say, hey, babe, this is how I feel. And, we can talk about it.
Yes.
And if you don't want to get the divorce, you have to do what you just asked him. You have to have tough conversations.
You have to.
More divorces are led to divorce because marriages led to divorce because you don't have tough conversations. I'm gonna hurt her feeling.
That's
the
good.
Terms and condition, like he just said, I have a term. It's the terms and condition change. That's what happened to my marriage, why I went to divorce, because I didn't notice, neither did we discuss your credit card bill. It comes every night. Terms and conditions change. Please read the news.
Yes.
Same thing with relationships.
That's good, Bishop.
He just talked about restaurants closing and we don't like this anymore. We change. If you stay with a person that long, they're going to evolve. Yes. You don't know everything about somebody you're about to marry. Yeah. But we don't have the tough conversation. I don't like this anymore. If you don't have those, I don't like this anymore conversation, respectfully, because some of y'all be all in our face.
Yes.
Respectfully and not tearing each other down,
Yeah.
then it will lead to divorce.
Yeah.
Definitely.
That's a part of the learning process, though,
It
too.
is.
Like my mother always said, you can get more flies with honey than you do vinegar.
And again,
So
yes.
you just have to really be cognizant of like the things that you're saying or how you present them, like the delivery, you know, especially in talking to a man. And a lot of times for single women, or if you've been on your own, doing your own thing for a while, and then you get into a relationship, you're used to doing things a certain type of way.
Yeah.
So you're in a state of like self-check constantly. And people don't like to have those conversations with themselves in the mirror, checking themselves on a constant, to see what it is that could be improved. Because I feel like there's always, like, even though you're doing a good job, there's always room for improvement.
Oh, yeah.
And if we're constantly evolving, then that means you're constantly improving.
Yeah.
That's good.
Self-awareness is key. Tone
That
is key.
good.
Yeah.
That
Tone
good.
is key, especially to a man.
Especially to a man.
Especially to a man, because it's how you set your tone.
Yeah.
It's how we respond.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, at the end of the day, if you're keeping an open mind, and that's based on the individual, you can tell a person anything, but in the way it's delivered,
Absolutely.
it's essential.
Yeah.
So,
Delivery is everything.
so delivery is it's a very key element, but listening is even bigger. You gotta listen.
Take it in.
I'm a person. I was hard headed. I'll be honest. Boy, she watching. She know. She told me many years, Bishop Nico Jock. She told me, baby, some things I say to you, it's like you feel like you have to be on the defense mode, because what happens is I had an epiphany. I had to come to the realization I didn't even know I was changing. And so when my wife would say certain things to me, I'm like, I don't do that. What you mean? So it's like it shuts the conversation down. If your wife or your husband is trying to convey their feelings, express their feelings to you, and you just shut them down, the person going to feel like, well, I can't even express how I'm really feeling. And that's the moment of death. That's when the illness started to happen in the relationship, because if you make me feel like what I'm saying and my feelings don't matter, then I'm not going to express them to you.
Yeah.
And that's just a long way down a dark road to just that disaster. And so the biggest element, it is the delivery. But on the receiving end, I have to be willing to hear, because a lot of times I don't know I'm changing. And so that's, my wife is my better half. She's the weaker vessel. She's the one that's going to express to me and tell me things that I may fight somebody in the street for saying.
T, I like what you just said. You started off by saying listening, but then you just hit on a key word, hearing.
Yes.
And there's a difference
There is
between
a difference.
listening
There are.
and hearing a person.
Two different.
When you hear a person, you fully take it in and you make adjustments.
Yes.
Don't have selective hearing.
Selective.
Ooh.
That's it.
And don't listening is important. No, listening is important, but
Yes,
don't
sir.
listen just to respond.
That's it.
Because some people just listen. I'm gonna pull that out because it's
Yeah.
against you.
That's right.
So don't have selective listening. And a lot of women say that they want to be listened to, but they don't listen to a man. Men be muting. You be muting
very true.
us. You mute us. I don't want to make this about a man-woman thing, but you mute us and you listen
Perspective.
to respectfully.
No, I get it. I mean,
We're gaining respect.
You want to open him up. You want to open him up, but then when you open him up, you don't want
Yeah.
to hear what he has to say.
yeah, and then that automatically makes them close off. And that's something that we got to work on. I know as a woman, I know.
And when we close up,
Yeah.
yeah.
Wrap it up, B. Wrap it up.
Nico, my sister, I promise this is not a gang up. I promise you.
I don't take it that way.
This is one I have to ask this question.
Go ahead.
Why? Not in absolutes. But in many cases, not all cases, but in many cases, why is it difficult for a lady to say, I was wrong?
Woo! Accountability. We don't like that. Have you seen? It's a reel out. It's so funny. Have you seen that reel? And they set it up like it was a game show, and
Yes.
they were like, women, you have to touch this thing or whatever. So it was like they set it up like Fear Factor.
Uh-huh.
And when he revealed what it was accountability. Did you see that reel? And the ladies are like running to it and they're falling and they can't get to it. It's the funniest thing ever. The thing is, because we attempt to be, you know, superwoman in our minds, and this is something that I am struggling with. I won't say I'm struggling. It's a challenge. In our minds, we're superwoman. We take on all these different roles, all these different personalities. You know, like I can do this, I can do this, I can do that, I can do
and
this,
hands
I
up
can
to
do,
you.
I can do
Crazy.
all this stuff, right?
Right.
Because I am woman, hear me roar.
Yes.
I can do all these different things. And then when the time comes and we crack, that's like going back to say that I really couldn't do it all and I'm really not as strong. Like that could be like a preconceived notion, like, well, maybe I'm not really as strong as I thought that I was, or I really couldn't do all that and I tried to take on all of this, and why do you want me to be accountable? Because I'm a woman and I can do what I want to do, and I don't want to, you know, it's one of those, it's kind of like it's a unspoken thing of, I really don't want to own up to any of my mess because I am who I am and I hold all of this power at the end of the day. And like I said, I can't speak for the rest of my species.
No, we're not speaking for everyone.
Me, I had to grow into where I am now. And even when it's brought to my attention now, I'm still like, I don't do that. Like the gentleman I've been dating for the past year.
Even though I've seen it with my own 2 eyes.
Yeah.
But you don't do that.
I'm like, I don't do that. I'm like, what are you talking about? Because
I'm looking at it.
Our moods change with our emotion. So like our answer a lot of times, it'll change with whatever emotion that we're having at that time or the mood that we're in. So it's like, no, I didn't do that. I would never do that. What do you mean? That's not, my favorite color is red. What do you mean? I didn't say my favorite color is.
Answered it. Emotions.
That's
yeah,
exactly.
and that's what it is. And because we are more emotive on the outside, you guys, I feel like, are just as emotive, if not more, but you don't display it. Ours is displayed, so a lot of times it comes off as being like extremely confusing. And so why would you want to hold me accountable for what? I am who I am, and no, I didn't do any of that.
It's not even looking to, for me, it's not even that I'm looking to hold you accountable.
Right.
It's just, when I'm wrong, I say,
But do
Nico,
you guys always though?
I do.
Listen,
I think Bishop does.
Bishop.
Yeah.
I think T does.
It may take a minute, but I'm
It take a minute. It takes. So
But you do it.
But
I'm gonna
it takes a level. It takes a certain level of maturation too. And like I said, just being conscious and understanding what you're up against, who you're up against, the type of man or not just in any situation that you're dealing with. Like, you know, if you did it, you made a mistake. Is room for improvement.
Always.
Change is the only thing that's constant.
Yes.
You know, and understanding that is like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna hold myself accountable. But who really wants to look in the mirror and have the mirror tell them back like, hey girl, you know, you shouldn't have did that. And you want to listen to that. That's like a form of you're being chastised. So self-check, once again, that's hard for a lot of people.
Men and women.
But
men and women.
Men and women. And so a lot of what we're saying, I'm laughing in my head because I'm just thinking of so many times where I said, I'm waiting on an apology from my wife. I'm waiting. And instead,
You only get like 2 a year.
Yeah, you know, that's a good. You get 2, you're good. If you get 2, you're good. But the form of apology is what I'm saying. She may not verbally say stuff, and we've had this
your favorite dinner.
Yo, she do something real nice. Some stuff is we on TV, but I'm just saying. I'm saying she do something real nice for me to let me know it hit in my head. Or this is her way of apologizing. But it does not hit.
It doesn't equate. So
But-
when you would want to verbally hear her say that, does that work for men though?
It does work for men. For me.
But if that's her way.
When it's valid.
Okay.
But if
it's
that's
valid.
her way of apologizing.
Yeah.
And you know it, does it matter?
No, it don't no more.
Now,
It depends on what it is.
Yeah, now if it's major, you probably will.
Yeah.
But some of that,
It's
come on,
levels.
T.
It's levels to it.
Some of that be our ego.
It does. It does.
And we know that she cooking a meal for that.
Of course.
So you just gonna cook me a meal?
I'm
You
eating
ain't got to
that.
say nothing.
I'm eating that meal
That's the only
too.
way you apologize. There's other things too they do, but yeah. Okay.
Hey!
But hey, look, we talking about marriage and divorce. Sometimes these conversations, it matters. What we're saying, it matters to stay with the person that you've given your vows to, and before God. When you stood at the altar, you gave them vows. The vows don't stand up when things are good. Those vows stands up when things happen. That's when you have to resort and remember, like, why did I get married to you? Why did I give you myself? Like, what vow, what standard did I have at that time when I committed? Like, sometimes you just got to go back to that first love. You got to remember what got you there. And then let that be the log in the fire that's going to burst a flame into keeping you together. Right? You have to be able to have these tough conversations in marriage. So I've always been a person that apologizes. I think I apologize too much. I think she told me that one time.
No, you haven't apologized too much.
But what I'm saying is, I'm going to always apologize because it's just a form of respect.
Yeah.
You know, if I know I've done something to you, I'm going to, before you even recognize it, I'm like, I didn't even realize I did that. I apologize. I'm sorry. You know, but on a receiving end for a person that's always apologizing, I want the same respect and same regard in return. It's like sometimes it's just verbally just saying words. Let me hear the words. Like as Bishop said, I really don't need it at this point because we still together and it works for me. But that don't work for everybody. Some people need to hear, like, I'm sorry, I apologize.
You got to have that for your ego.
It really, a lot of times, it's really not. No,
it was better when I said it.
It was better, right? When you said it, but
no, I'm asking a question. I should put question mark on the end.
But because it's just showing the respect for a person. If you know you've done something wrong, it shouldn't matter whether it be male or female. No. If you know you've committed some type of, and it might not have been on purpose. Yeah. Right? But just saying that, especially if you know, we had a conversation previously about you're not apologizing, then I don't think it should be hard to just utter the word, babe, I love you, I'm sorry. If it takes you 2 days, a week, or whatever, just don't let it go forever when things just get swept under the rug and you not saying, but you cook me this fancy dinner, do something else. You know, and I'm supposed to just accept that version of your apology. I don't think it's fair. Because if I do something, I'm going to apologize.
I think we get so accustomed to one another and familiar with one another that we don't think certain things are still necessary. If you know that your partner needs that affirmation, needs that apology, some people don't. Yeah. They don't need that. You ain't. It don't matter because sometimes, and I'm not talking about you. You can apologize. So, and I hear when you say you should apologize. But sometimes it becomes meaningless.
Yeah.
That's true.
You apologize so much until
exactly. Don't mean
nothing. It doesn't even feel genuine. It's not genuine.
Yes.
So you think that's supposed to just resolve it, and we apologize sometimes without unresolved issue, with stuff being resolved, and so you can apologize so much until it's no meaning to it. I just want you to be quiet.
Yeah.
I just want you to stop.
That's counterproductive.
Yeah, it is. But I'm saying it happens though.
Yes.
And a lot of these things that we're talking about leads to the divorce.
Okay.
That's exactly. That's what Bishop just said. Those are the deaths within the marriage that happens before the divorce.
Absolutely.
Those things die off, and if it doesn't if it goes unmentioned, and it goes unhandled, resolved, then of course
sometimes person just keep apologizing just to mute somebody and make them be quiet. And the issues aren't solved, and then that's what leads. We keep apologizing, but the stuff is still there, and that's what leads to the subject we're talking about:
divorce.
So I have a question.
Go for it.
To the men, and this has always been like my viewpoint, even with marriage. Like my parents, they've been married for 48 years. Pretty much everybody in my family is married. I was in a relationship, it was unconventional marriage. Like we had our own terms of agreements, but we didn't do the whole, looks like my dad. We didn't do the whole, no, we had our own agreement on paper and everything. We didn't go through the state, should I say like that. So the thing with, in your vows, till death do us part, and we're talking about death and death being a transition. Death isn't always physical, because clearly we're talking about that here. So if this is dead, is it not time for us to part? Because this is dead. We have clearly transitioned to a whole different space. You're in another space. I'm in another space. And if this is no longer healthy and conducive for the both of us, is it time for us to go?
If you've done everything you can to try to
That's-
save it, you've done therapy, you've talked to others. I mean, and
Exhausted all
exhausted
possibilities.
all possibilities. You know, I know I'm gonna get in trouble because of who I am by saying
Yeah.
that, but yes,
Yeah.
because you know stuff that's happening now. There are people that are divorced and still living together, and they haven't done it at the court.
Yeah.
They're sleeping in separate beds, separate
Yeah.
rooms.
Yeah.
They have other homes, they have other relationships, and they're just doing it for the gram, they're doing it for social media, they're doing it for television, doing it for whatever, and they're staying together. And so, if that's a miserable way to live,
It's miserable.
It's already dead.
It's miserable.
Your relationship is dead, right? You just have not had the service.
Yeah.
Nico, Bishop, T, we're out of time for this particular topic for now, but thank you.
Hot water say.
So it's always a lot more to say. We'll be back at it.
It's deeper than the cut.
It's deeper than the cut. Thank you all. Once again, Nico,
Yes.
Bishop, T,
Awesome.
thank you.
Thank you.
Again, it's deeper than the cut.